We are live in the Lady Boss community. Oh, there, I can see that we're there. Yay! Hello, Lady Boss community. Thank you for joining us. I was just saying to Michelle and Shari that this is my first time doing a live stream with StreamYard, so I wasn't sure how things were going to go, but I'm so happy that it's working. And just to introduce myself, I am Judy Tate. I am the host of the Lady Boss community. And for those who don't know much about me, I wear many hats. Like I'm a business coach, helping women to stand out online and just be confident and fearless as being the face of their business. I also own a 6-figure dog walking and pet sitting business, and I'm a police officer. So those are the 3 hats that I wear. Oh, also I have a TV show, again, giving women a platform to share their stories and their business. It's called At the Heart of Business, and it's on Rogers TV Durham, and we air Monday nights or every other Monday at 6 p.m. So our conversation today, we're just going to talk about, in honor of Black History Month, talk about what it's like to be a Black woman in business, or even in the corporate world, because Michelle's from corporate, I know, and I'm in the police service, and Shari, I'm not sure if you're from corporate, but okay, great. But I'm going to let them go ahead and introduce themselves. So let's start with Shari.
Hi, everyone. So I'm a business coach for working moms, and what I do is I help moms make money online so they can quit their 9-to-5. Because I was working in corporate, and then after I had my 3rd kid, it was just like a no-go. Paying for daycare and working was just way too much. So I switched to online, and now I'm able to be there for my kids more. And it's actually exciting because now I have the flexibility and everything. So that's who I am, and that's what I do.
Yay! That's great. Thank you. And Michelle.
Hello, everybody. Nice to be here. I always find these Facebook lives or lives a little bit intimidating, but here we go. We're used to them by now after being in this pandemic for almost 2 years. So I used to work corporate. I worked for a major real estate brand for over 23 years. At the corporate level, I'm not a real estate agent. However, I do know lots of them. And what I did last summer after leaving the corporate world is I decided to expand my women's networking group and make it non-branded. So the brand is us. So Real MG is the name of the business that I started, and it stands for Real Estate Empowers Ambitious Ladies Management Group. And under that umbrella, I have the networking portion, which I just launched about just over 5 weeks ago. And then we have a consulting stream, and then there's an investing to build wealth, which I think is really important, especially for women. We have this kind of weird mindset set around it. And, my motto or my words of the day is always, we're leaving money on the table, and we are literally leaving money on the table. So I'm here to empower women, support them, encourage, inspire, and mentor them. And right now we have our founding members category that's available for the first 100, and we are at 96. So I'm hoping that we can get another 4 women that want to be part of it. It's not just for realtors or women in the real estate industry particularly. It's for people that work with realtors or want to work with other women and inspire them. And, we have a few people that actually aren't in the real estate industry, but they've worked with realtors. So like photographers and videographers or branding specialists, so things like that. So anybody that wants to support women entrepreneurs in business, and of course, ideally in the real estate industry. But specifically, I use that group because that's my network for the past 23 years. So yeah. And another thing about it is it's global. So although I'm based here in Canada, in Toronto area, it is global. We're going to be expanding all over the world, and but one step at a time. So and it's great to be here. Yeah.
Wow, that's great. Thanks so much, Michelle. Okay, and we have Akuswa joining us. Just go ahead and introduce yourself.
Thank you. Yes, so much of what you both said is so similar to my journey to the type of work I do. I work in the creative sphere. I help people share their voices through books. And how I came to it was quite circuitous in that I was, when you're a child and you're good at sciences, your parents tell you you're going to be a doctor. Not do you want to be, it's you're going to be a doctor. And so I did study the sciences, and I have a master's in sciences, but all the work I did was around making complex ideas more accessible to the public. And I loved books as a girl. And eventually it came full circuit, sorry. And I was working in the publishing industry. So I worked mainly with an educational publisher, and I had my own publishing company and got some great awards for it. And when I was let go, it was like, oh, what am I going to do next? That was about 2015, 2016. And I had a package, and I had the opportunity to do anything. So I decided I was going to, at first I worked as a literary agent, and discovered that's really one day we'll have a talk about what the publishing industry is like. But I decided that being a literary agent was a young person's game, and I have 4 kids. So I instead decided to help people share their stories and then publish in any way they want, whether they choose to try to find traditional publishers or they want to self-publish, and most people do choose to self-publish. There's so much more freedom in terms of content, in terms of when you can get the material out and all that. So that's what I do now. My company is What's Your Story Author Services, and I help people share their voice through books. And so many people want to do that now because it's so much more accessible. And I'm so blessed. I love what I do. I get to work in the creative sphere every day, all day. And yeah, I feel I'm very blessed, and I love what I do.
Oh, that's awesome. Beautiful. And I love that, but sharing your story, because that's what I'm passionate about, like, helping women and giving women a platform to share their story.
Exactly.
Excellent. So, well, let's first talk about our corporate experiences as being Black women. I'll go with Shari. Yeah. Tell us what your experience has been. And I know you mentioned that you were in corporate and then you had your kids, and yeah. So tell us all about that.
So my experience was, I was told I was the first in my family, to go to college, out of my grandparents, aunts, uncles, cousins, all that stuff. So I thought I was doing the right thing. Cause you're supposed to go to college, supposed to get married, have kids, buy a house, and you're supposed to be happy. And it never happened. I was like, okay, so where's the switch? When's the happiness gonna come? I did all these things, right? But I realized that because after I graduated, when I first graduated, I found out I was pregnant with my first kid. And I'm like, oh no, what am I gonna do? But luckily I found a job and I worked there, and it was nice. Nothing was wrong. I mean, I was obviously I think there was me and another Black person. That was it. And that's what I got used to. Every time I went for interviews, every time I went to a new job or something like that, I was either the only one or one other one. And it was just okay, so, you have to learn how to speak a certain way. You have to learn how to dress a certain way. You have to learn how to basically follow the rules. That way you can move up. And so once I found out I was pregnant with my third kid, after having my second kid 6 months earlier, I was like, oh no. What am I going to do? Because I would have to pay for daycare for 3 kids full time. And I was like, this is going to be my salary. There's no way I can do this. And so I felt completely heartbroken. And I was just like, okay, I'm going to have to quit. But I didn't know that entrepreneurship existed. I had no idea that this was a place that I could be. And it took me a while to get used to it, because everything that I built up in corporate, the way I act, the way I dress, the way I speak, I don't have to do that online. And it took a while for me to actually connect to just who I am, and not a mom, not a wife, or not somebody that's working in corporate. And so that's my experience. And it was just I don't say it was definitely a lot to learn, and definitely a lot to handle. and how to just maneuver around places and code switch and stuff like that was something that I had to learn on my own, because I didn't have anybody to talk to or to that went through my experience, and my entire family. They're just like, you're doing a great job. Go ahead. Just keep going. And I'm just like, but I'm really struggling, but okay. So yeah, that was my corporate experience.
Okay, great. Well, thank you so much for sharing that, because that's I think a lot of people, especially moms, go through that as well, right? Just that transition going
Yeah.
from a corporate job to full-time entrepreneurship. Like you're accountable to yourself, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like you make the decision basically based on your actions, what you do, your daily routine, your strategies and everything. You decide how much money you make, right?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
When you're going to a corporate job, every 2 weeks you get a paycheck. Doesn't matter if you do a good job or a bad job, right?
Yeah.
You know, you're
Yeah.
getting paid. I mean, like if you do a bad job, that could have some consequences eventually, right? But even still, like, you know, in a lot of jobs, you have many opportunities to screw up and improve.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas in entrepreneurship, like, man, one mistake could really, really, like, it can affect everything. It can affect your reputation, it which will affect your revenue. It'll affect, you know, the trust that people have in you. Like, it just, entrepreneurship is definitely not as easy as I thought it would be, for sure, right?
Same.
Yeah, exactly. There are challenges, but it is definitely rewarding being
Mm-hmm.
your own boss and
Yeah.
having control that way. So there's pros and cons. So in your opinion, do you think entrepreneurship is for everybody?
No, I don't, because I feel like
That's
entrepreneurship and you have to have the work. Like, you don't have to think about it really. It's just like you get used to it. But to be able to like put down your walls, you know, show yourself online, speak the way you want to speak, attract the people who you want to attract, you have to let go of things, that the traumas that happened to you in the past. And I'm just like, I thought this was all over. But they come back up, because once again, you have to have your own accountability. You have to wake up, you have to do these things, and then all your self-sabotaging traits come back to the surface, because it's like, okay, so no one's like telling me what to do. I just have to do this.
yes.
And
Yeah.
like all your subconscious blocks and everything, literally, they just come right at you. And I'm just like, oh my gosh. I was talking to my husband. I was like, please forgive me this past week. It's been a lot. I've been uncovering a lot of things that I thought I was done with, but no, I'm still working on them. And if you're not ready to get like that deep, and you're not ready to just like literally like this is all on you, then no, don't do entrepreneurship. Go do something else. Like, I'm
Yeah.
telling you.
Get a job.
Yes.
Get a job.
Get a
Yeah.
traditional job. Yeah. Or
Yeah.
stay in a-
It's definitely you have to be comfortable with a level of risk to run your own business than you do when you have a day job. Like one of the there's two funny memes that I've seen recently. One was a T-shirt, actually, on a T-shirt a friend gave me, which said, "The only thing more overrated than natural childbirth is owning your own business." And then
Oh,
the other
Yes.
thing,
yeah.
and then the other one was this funny thing that said, "I got tired of my 9 to 5, so I started my own business. Now I work 24/7."
Yes.
And that is very true, because I realize that I have the skills to do the job, but learning how to run a business is hard. And then you have to do everything on your own until you grow it enough so that you can
Mhm.
have support through assistants and other employees. And then that's the whole question of like what kind of business you're trying to build, whether it is, you know, virtually freelance, or it's something with, five employees. Are you going for more, like a truly bigger business? And so that kind of conversation is something you have to have in mind as well, because everything's on you. You've got people depending on you as soon as you have an employee. I have a virtual assistant and one other, and so it's like as soon as you're making some money, all of a sudden you're back to making no money because you have to make sure they're getting paid. And so then that's another, so it's like a level of growth, then it comes down because you need the help to grow bigger. And then I think it's like, yeah, it's kind of like that, being an entrepreneur. And definitely, I love the idea as an employee that every 2 weeks that money drops in your account, whether you've had a good day, whether you've been on a holiday, whether you've been fantastic, that same amount drops in your account every 2 weeks. And one of the things that is the most that brings me the most pride is I feel like I make money out of thin air because I find clients and I create my own wealth, and that's something I'm very, very proud of. That other thing about working for yourself and it being flexible, that doesn't come right away. My gosh, because you're working 24/7. And before you had one boss, but when you start, everybody's your boss. So it certainly, like when I started and people would say things like, oh, it takes about 3 years before you're turning a profit. I'm thinking, yeah, that's them. My business is different. I'm going to be like, and so just learning that it does take a while for you to build the business of your dreams and I'm sure there's some that, go from 0 to, to 100 real quick. But for most people that I know of who are in the entrepreneur space, that it takes a while to get it because, you've only got 24 hours and you've only got, and you got to sleep.
Yeah.
You got to eat. You got to take care of your family. You should exercise. And so, that dream of just starting your business and everything changing right away, that's something that we're doing a good service if we tell people, hey, yeah, I would never change this. I do love being an entrepreneur, but definitely there's so many times when you start where you're thinking, should I give up and get a job? And one other thing is that, when I started it, I started because I wanted to have more time for my family, but at first I had less. And I'm only now at the point where I can truly make these differences so that I can spend that time. But that was heartbreaking to me in those first 4 years. For me, it was 4 to 5 years of truly working what felt like 24/7 and not seeing these big financial gains that would prove to me I was on the right track. But I'm glad I persevered. But definitely, it is something to consider that your time with your family for me, I found that I had less time than I had when I was an employee. So it certainly isn't for everybody, to answer that question.
Yes, I agree. And even with my experience, like working a full-time job and, running my businesses, talk about no time for anything. Like it's a tough go, especially when you're doing that transition, where you want to make your side hustle your full-time gig. Like you've got to do a lot of work. Like for my first business, the dog walking and pet sitting business, I had to implement a team like pretty much right away. Like I had a team within the first 6 months, just because working full-time, I couldn't be there. And plus working shift work, like I couldn't be there to physically do all the work. Right. And I've since expanded that team to having like, an admin assistant and a VA and stuff. And, now I'm doing my coaching business. And the good thing about that is that it's all online, but even still with that, like I need some assistance. So that transition, and then building your team to kind of buy back your time. But of course it costs you money, right? Because you got to pay someone, but then at the same time, it gives you a bit more time. But that's also why I am into systems and automations. Anything that you can automate, I love it. And that's one thing I teach my clients too in my coaching business, just having systems, processes, and automations in place. And it makes a world of difference.
Yeah.
Yes.
So Michelle, go ahead. Yeah.
What's interesting is I've been I was in corporate for years, like decades. But we also have to remember that when we're working for a company, they had to start somewhere too. So what we're seeing, the success that they have, and we're now working at this corporation, they started right where we started, right? They had this plan, they had to start the business, they had to grow it, then they had to hire people. So it's all those steps. And I think that sometimes what people forget when they are an entrepreneur is they think, first of all, they think it's going to be an overnight success, and they don't take into account that it takes time, and everybody, started that way. It's like when a new realtor comes in and they think that they're going to be making, hundreds of thousands of dollars just because they put a for sale sign on the lawn. It's not really how it works. It takes you a while. You have to build the business, and everyone that has a business, a very successful business, has gone through it. We just don't see it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. So for me, being in corporate was very similar to what Cherie said, like, always being like the only person of color, maybe one other. It was interesting. I was at an event, and somebody pointed out, "You're like the only Black person here." And I said, "Yeah." And I looked around and went, "Yeah, I am." I didn't even think about it, because it just is normal to me, right? So, and I grew up in a very small city as well, where we stuck out because there were very few of us. But I don't know. I just never let it affect me. I just kind of am who I am. I didn't adjust myself to who I was speaking with. It just is. So, I said to you, Judy, I don't really have any challenges that I think maybe there were subtle biases or subtle. I just never paid attention to them, because I'm just like, what else? I'm just gonna, I'm who I am. And, I know what I know. I think that sometimes, women of color get taken advantage of, and we end up doing a lot more work than we're required to do. I think that it's a mindset, and sometimes just, us feeling like we have to do more, right? And it's not true. Like, I'm just so like, yeah, no, I'm not doing it. And that's the one good thing about being in corporate is it's pretty hard for them to get rid of you for saying, "Oh, I'm not doing that. That is not part of my job." Right? So that's the beauty. That's your cushion. But but starting my own thing, it's all about the freedom and the creativity. And I don't want to work for anybody anymore. You know what? The problem is, I put this quote up on my Instagram last week, and I just said, if you don't build your dream, someone will hire you to build theirs.
Yes.
And, there's nothing more self-defeating, I think, in life. And I think with this pandemic and having to be restricted in what we're doing, and our lives just changing and not being able to be free. We're not free right now, we're free, but we're kind of not. And it has been really life altering. It's really changed. For me, it's changed my mindset. You know what? Life is way too short to be going every day into the office. And yeah, that steady paycheck is nice, but that slow death, it's a slow death. Like, you're like, ugh, when you get up in the morning and you're like, ugh, I gotta go. And it has nothing to do with you not liking the people you work with or anything like that. It's just the same old, and it's just it's a slow death. It's almost like it's soul sucking.
I hear you.
Word. So, whether that has anything to do with the fact that we are minorities, that we're Black, or women of color, whatever it is. It's just in general, it's soul sucking. So yeah, it's a struggle. Absolutely. I'm a very social person. So not being around people and having to work on my own has been very, very much of a challenge for me. But I'm the only person that can change that. And that for me is motivation enough. So,
I had an experience with bullying as part of my life in corporate.
okay.
I came from,
Yeah.
I lived, I lived and worked first in England. And when I went there, I was lucky because I was part of, I had graduated in environmental sciences, and they didn't have graduates in that at the time. So I was really lucky with jobs. My first job was with a UN collaborating center. My first, the job that I loved, actually my very first job in England, first with a university, second with their version of the Communicable Disease Surveillance Center, like CDC in England. And then I worked with the UN Collaborating Center. So I had really great jobs. And theirs is you had a minimum of 4 weeks holiday in the UK.
Yeah.
And then if you
Europe in general.
in Europe in general,
They know how to live over there.
yeah. And then working in a university, you
That's
also
their
had time
priorities.
off when the university was closed. So I had something like 8-9 weeks holiday working there, and then coming back here was quite a difference.
Shocking.
And in this, one of the things that I had to fight, besides the hair thing, because I have locks, and so that was both an internal thing, because I thought I don't look like a leader. That was something I felt, and especially I had this boss who really did not like the look at me. She did not like me, and so I had to fight. So I found it really affected my self-esteem. I would start, we'd be in a meeting, and when I was talking, I would I would be hearing her judgment of what I was saying. And so then I would start to stumble and stuff like that in explaining and whatever I was talking about. So I was feeling like, oh my God, not only do I not look like a leader, I don't sound like one. And she showed me, like, the disrespect was such that she took the whole team out for a dinner, and I was the only one excluded. And
Wow.
everyone noticed that by then. I was the only Black one as well. And so hair was really one of the things that I felt bullied about. I felt, well, that was because of all the other things that made me wonder if that was part of it, because I didn't look like them in any way.
Yeah.
And then I had this thing where it was like this assumption of idiocy. They would, whatever I said, they would assume it was stupid. And then the next person would say exactly what I would say. And they'd say, oh, wow, that's a great idea. Whatever I propose, it doesn't matter if I said, hey, is it Tuesday? Think, are you sure? I think it's still the last bit of Monday. I mean, that's how extreme it was. One time I got someone copied all, and they didn't mean to. And I could see some of what they were saying because I was ill and couldn't make it in that day. And there were just too many times where I caught the team questioning things about my, about my performance. Yet I won awards. I brought things in under budget. I got things done in time. And wherever there was a problem, I found the solution before even going, And so I did everything correctly, yet I had that problem with my colleagues, and I really and that's what I called it, this assumption of idiocy.
Yeah.
That they made anytime I opened my mouth or sent an email or ran a program, despite the fact that I was an award-winning colleague of theirs, and I so much wanted to do a good job there, but they made it impossible for me to do that and go without affecting my mental health. So I was so pleased when I was let go.
Yeah.
That's one of
Wow.
the best things,
Yeah.
because I was trying to just, when I started that job, I remember saying to a colleague, I wonder if there's a day when I won't drive into this parking lot and be so happy I'd feel like doing a wheelie. And the time came because of the bullying
Yeah, of
that I
course.
experienced there.
How long ago was that, Akosua?
That was, I left that job or I was made to leave that job in, it was, I think 2015. That was.
Wow. So that's not even that long ago.
No.
But you know what? Corporations are
Wow.
becoming more and more toxic. And,
Yes.
and this is why people are just leaving in droves. They can't even be bothered. And what's interesting too, I don't know how old any of you ladies are, and I'm not going to ask you, but my generation was we're kind of on the cusp of you stay at a job, you work your way up,
Yes.
like our parents,
Mhm.
our parents obviously they got a job and they stayed there till they died, right? They
Yeah.
retired or whatever. But I look at like the younger generation that are coming up. They're good. They're like, this doesn't work for me. See you later.
Yeah.
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 We did
Like,
our job as parents right, because we raised those people.
yeah, but you know what I mean? They're just like,
Dedicated.
you know what? But they also want to come in and make the big salary and have the corner
Yeah.
office and the title and all of
Yeah.
that. But they're not willing to wait for it. And if there's any kind of bullying or toxicity or anything, they're like, peace out. They're gone.
Mhm.
Right?
Yeah.
They're on to the next thing, which I don't know. I don't think that that's a bad thing, because then you start moving around. And most of them that I've seen do end up doing their own thing, right?
Mhm.
Because they don't want to get in line with what's happening. And it's going to be a big, big issue for corporations to keep that talent, keep them motivated, and keep them happy.
Mhm.
And that's going to be the real challenge,
Yep.
alone people of color, right?
You know what? I completely agree. And it's so funny because in a way, like what you're saying, like that's, it's changing, and that's good that, they're standing up for themselves and stuff like that. But I think it depends on where. So for example, in an organization like mine, which is a
Oh,
paramilitary organization,
yes.
oh my goodness, we see that sense of entitlement all the time.
Mhm.
And it causes a lot of issues.
Yeah,
Like,
absolutely. It does
it does.
depend on the industry.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
for sure, like I think in the police force, you kind of
Yeah.
stick to the rules, because
Mhm.
you're the ones that make them. And if you're going to break them,
Yes.
you got bigger problems over there. So
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
so
for sure.
absolutely. It totally does depend on the industry that you're talking about or you're
Yeah.
working in. But it's interesting, in Europe, they just have such a different mindset around work-life balance. And
Yes.
I'm sorry, I love what they're doing over there, because
Yes.
they've grasped the whole life is short. We don't have a lot of time here, and tomorrow's never guaranteed, right?
Yes.
So what are you killing yourself for? And you're still miserable.
Mhm.
Like by
Yeah.
the time, like I hear so many people, my father was an example. He's like, yeah, well, when I retire, I'm gonna, get my land in Barbados and build a house and he worked, 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 worked. And the poor man died at 63. He never had an
Oh,
opportunity to retire. But I
Mhm.
don't think that, our life work balance here in North America is conducive to retiring, because
No.
you're too tired by the time you're retired to do anything. And let's hope you don't have any health issues. And I think
yes.
those
Mhm.
health issues are actually brought on by the stress you've had
Yes.
all these years working to retirement, right?
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
it's interesting. I think maybe as I've gotten older, and I think it does come with age as you mature, just things don't seem to matter as much. Like
Mhm.
when you were 20 or 30, you're like, oh my God, I'm on this treadmill and I got to do this and I got to do that. I got to go to school. I got to get this and I got to do. And then you get older and you're like, what is this all for?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
what's it all for? Right.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
well, I'm not putting down corporate because I think that you have to have it. Like, obviously, not everyone, like you said, Cherie, is made to be an entrepreneur and run their own business, because it does take a lot, because you are wearing a lot of hats.
No.
But at the same time, the whole structure of corporate needs a pretty big overhaul, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think they're forced right now, especially with the pandemic.
Yes.
People are quitting their jobs if they have to go back into the office. They're like, see ya, I'm not interested. I'm just as productive here, working from home. I'll go in maybe once or twice a week just for the team atmosphere and all of that. But if they're required to go back full time, I think you're going to have a lot of problems, right? So,
Yeah.
and that's going to affect it's going to affect the talent that you're going to attract, and it's also going to affect your productivity. So it's going to affect the bottom line. So,
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
Absolutely.
so
Especially as we've seen so many people move far away from where their
Yeah.
corporate job
Yeah.
was.
yeah,
Yeah.
I have a few friends that have already done that. They've
Yeah.
sold their properties here in the GTA and they've moved out east,
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
where
East Coast.
they can afford to like buy something there and probably not work for a bit.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like something on the side, maybe do something part-time, uh, it's just, it's a life thing. You're trying to balance your life, right, at this point.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
The
It's
East
almost like
Coast is like it's really blowing up now.
huge.
Like
Yeah.
we bought a property out in New Brunswick just last year,
Yeah.
and we feel like it's right on the water. It's absolutely gorgeous. Like the
Exactly.
ocean is our front yard. Like it's like we're about maybe 30 feet from the ocean.
Amazing.
And we felt like we stole the place. Like it was so affordable, right?
Yeah.
And now we're just like looking at other properties. And then we started to hear of more people moving out east. But I'm telling you, the lifestyle there is so different. Out there, you do not feel the need to keep up with the Joneses.
Exactly. Like
Yeah.
here, you can't even buy a parking spot by Lake Ontario.
Yeah. Oh, I know.
You buy Lake Ontario anyways, but you can't
Mhm.
even buy a parking spot. Like I'm looking to buy something overseas. Like
Oh, nice.
yeah, that's my goal, is I want to buy something specifically in Portugal.
Mhm.
Oh,
Because
nice.
like it's funny. We kind of have this, hey, let's get a vacation property in Florida, right?
Yeah.
And for me, it's a no-go. It
Yeah.
is a
Yeah.
no-go for me. And besides that, Florida's super, super expensive now.
It is.
Yeah.
I was looking at like outside, because now we're so used to communicating online. I mean, my business was always online,
Yeah.
but I just, all you have to have is great internet. I'm
Exactly.
looking to Ghana because they had reduced some of the citizenship requirements so that people from the diaspora could go, and there's all these videos of people who've made that change. And there's all the talk about fake media, but there is that thing about media where they show you what sells, or it's lazy. So we only hear the crises in especially in developing countries. We don't see the middle class. I mean, of course there's so many economic problems there, but still there is not everyone dies there. If you believe the media, that's the case. And like, I thought, well, I could go and I could bring my talents there. And so I've been looking at both Ghana, and I have a friend in Liberia who's from Liberia as one of the two places that I could go. I don't know if it's full time, but it could be just like the snowbirds do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Why not go for the winter and then come back when it's nicer here, right?
Yeah, and then build, where you can give back by helping others develop some of
Exactly.
these skills that we've been privileged to gain here.
Yeah.
And so I'm certainly looking at either of those places,
Yeah.
Nice.
as a place to go, since I stepped out of just in December 2019, I sold my house. biggest mistake, because I thought, oh, great, I'm going to rent for a while. I could not, there is no chance that I would be able to own here. So
No,
I am, and when affordability, housing affordability comes to you, like I have a master's degree and all that, and yet now I'm in that bracket. I can't afford to stay renting in this area.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
I have so
Nobody
I'm
could have
having to leave
predicted
this
the
area.
housing. Like,
Yeah.
I'm just, we're all
So,
stunned. We're all
yeah.
stunned. But it's because there's no inventory and people don't want to sell their house because then they have to buy a house.
Yeah.
It's the
So
same
it's a vicious cycle. And
Mhm.
what do you do? So
Yeah.
yeah, that's unfortunate, but nobody could have predicted it. So
Yeah, and like you
Yeah.
mentioned, my business is also global.
yeah.
So yeah, so that
So
someone
you can
else
be a
is
digital
going to
nomad,
benefit
no
from me.
problem. Digital nomad. That's a
Yeah.
big industry that's been created with the pandemic.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the way I see it too is I've got a place, I'm holding on to it for dear life.
Exactly. Same.
I'll rent it out
Yeah.
and
Me
I'll
too.
Airbnb
Yeah.
it because it's
Yep.
just, I
Yep.
can't believe, like I've been in my house now for just 12, almost 12 years. And I can't believe how much it's gone up in value. That's actually how we ended up buying our house out east, because the house next door to us went for 200,000 over asking.
Mhm.
And I was like, oh my gosh, we've got so much money. We should really do
So much
something with
equity.
that.
Absolutely.
So,
That's exactly what you should do. That's
yeah.
part of my whole investing in real estate to build wealth. It's absolutely, if you're in, stay in.
Yes.
Don't go
Yes.
nowhere for now.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I
So
think
that leads to the next question. What about I'll ask Shari, what are your thoughts about building wealth? And what can you, like, what words of advice do you have for women?
we actually, like you guys were talking about houses, we actually bought and sold in 2020. So
Oh,
yeah,
Okay.
so we sold our first house and it went over asking, and then we bought this house and it went like, it was under because no one was like looking at it because it needed some work and everything like that. But now, like if we sell it, it will be over 100K more than if we sell it for already in like a couple of years.
yeah.
So yeah, I'm learning more about wealth because I don't know anyone that could like teach me. Like I'm the first homeowner once again in my like entire family and everything like
Wow.
that. So I'm
Good
learning
for
as
you.
I go, and I'm investing in like a few stocks here and there, and also I have to have like a Roth IRA because I don't have a 401k and things like that. So as I'm going, I'm trying to build a nest, and then I have my kids' college things saved up as well. I can't remember what they're called, but I have their little things. So if they go to college, it will be tax free. But if they don't, then there will be a tax or something on it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, Michelle is definitely someone that you can lean on for investment advice, when it comes to real estate and all that. And I may be leaning on you too, Michelle.
Actually, part of my role, I've property managed almost 50 properties in my lifetime over 2 decades. So I'm very familiar with properties, 5 of which are in South Florida. So from here. So I'm pretty familiar with all of that. I think that investing in real estate, if you can, is one of the best ways to build wealth. And start small, but get in there. Have somebody else pay your mortgage and build up those equities and leverage what you've got. I just purchased a condo here in Mississauga. I wanted it in Toronto, but it was just getting crazy with the prices. And besides that, Toronto has a double tax. So I'm not going to be doing that anytime soon. I did end up getting a condo here in Mississauga. And I was waiting and waiting and waiting. And I don't know why I was waiting, because it's that mindset, right?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I'll do it next year. I'll do it next year. But the best time to buy real estate is yesterday. And, I bought this place. I literally bought it, had closed a month later, had it on the market, for a week, and it was rented. I hadn't even paid one mortgage payment, and it was already rented out. And, it's a good tenant. I checked all of the credentials and everything. And it was the easiest thing for me to do. And even though I am topping it up each month a little bit to cover, the condo fee and the insurance and taxes, it's for savings. I still have a property at the end of the day. And if things really, really get bad, I sell said property, pay off the mortgage, and run off with whatever is left. So it is the way to do that. And for women, I think that we get into that mindset that, oh, it's a lot of money, and it's thinking about it in a different way. Yes, it is. However, you've got to look at it long term. A lot of people have bought real estate to help fund their kids' education, right?
Yes.
So say you've bought like a townhouse now. This market is just too crazy for me. So I don't know. I don't want to give you an advice here, but if you had bought a townhouse, say 3 or 4 years ago, by the time your child is ready to go to school, maybe you bought the townhouse in some place like London that has a really good university and a college, maybe they live in it, right? Maybe they don't live in it. Maybe you sell it and that money pays for their education. And then they have money to start by buying their own thing, right? So there's ways that you can do it that are really going to maximize the amount of money that you're going to have at the end of the day. We have to stop thinking short term. Real estate is a long game, right? And I think that, yes, you can buy stocks and RSPs, and you should do all of those things, but you should also diversify and get into real estate as well.
I love this.
And being an entrepreneur,
the tax implications are unbelievable. Like I can write off pretty much everything on my condo investment.
Wow.
You can't do that on your primary residence. That's the difference with us here from America. But you get all these tax write-offs, right? So there are benefits from doing this. Besides that, the bank will lend you money. They're not going to lend you money to buy stocks.
Yeah,
right? True. Wow, this is
lots to think about. But yeah, that's one of the streams that we're going to be building out. We're going to be putting together a women's syndicate, which is kind of cool because maybe you don't want to take the risk and buy something all on your own, but you can pool your money together and own something with a syndicate.
Yeah, you know what? I noticed that a lot more people are doing that now.
Especially for commercial.
Yes. Oh, you know what? I remember saying to my husband once after I had a conversation with the owner of the Hyundai dealership in Whitby. I ran into him and he had been retired for like so many years. He had sold the actual dealership, but he still owned the property. The land. The money he was bringing in monthly. I was like,
fabulous. Because what? You're not building any more land.
Yeah.
That's the best. How do you think the McDonald's got so wealthy?
Yeah.
They own the land. Have you ever
seen
that movie? I can't remember the name of it. And they talk about how, the guy that came in, what he implemented was you buy the land.
Yes.
You rent, and the McDonald's rents the land from said owner. That's how you make
brilliant.
It's from them. It's the land, right? So there's all kinds of ways.
Wow.
This is how the wealthy get wealthy, by the way. This is the secret.
Yeah. Ever since buying the property out east, I've got this new interest in, investing because I'm like, once we got our place, so many people were asking us about renting it out and Airbnb. I'm thinking, oh my goodness, we could have this place rented pretty much all year and make so much money. But I'm not ready to share my oasis.
That's my plan for buying something in Portugal. Is I would be there in the winters. And in the winters, it's quiet.
Yeah.
But in the summers and spring and fall, I would be back here because it's beautiful here, and that's when I would rent it out. That's high season for them.
Yeah.
So therefore, I could make the money to maintain that property for the year, just in those few months, right? That's how you have to look at it. Yes, it's an expense up front, but the potential.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you can make so
And
much.
that's what we need to get our head around it. It's a whole mindset thing. So I sit on a board where we're actually going to have an international forum for women in real estate, for women investing in real estate in Barbados. And we're hoping it's going to be later this year. We've had to keep pushing it, but we want to bring women into this forum so that they can learn about how they can get into real estate, because it's not as complicated as you would think it is, but it's a mindset shift, right?
Yes.
So it's very important. It really is. And the opportunities outside of traditional places that we would look, like a property up in Muskoka. What about something outside of the country, right?
Yeah.
That you can go to, in the winters, like snowbirds. Why not? Why not go to Barbados? It's gorgeous there.
Yeah.
Or any of the other places in the Caribbean. So there's lots of opportunities out there, and I think that we just need to jump on them. But it's getting that buy-in and just helping people to understand it a little bit more, because it can be overwhelming, but we're going to put it in a way that it's easy to understand and get people to really start creating wealth for themselves, because it's very important.
I love it.
And through entrepreneurship in general.
Exactly. Yeah.
So let's gosh, we've been having this wonderful conversation for like 51 minutes and 49 seconds. There's a problem. So I want to just get into talking about just our business specifically and what we can do. And I want you to share any offers or events or anything that you have going on with your business. So Shari, let's start with you.
Right now I'm actually going to be running a challenge next month. And it's going to teach moms, because I work with working moms, how to, launch their business, make money online, so that way they can eventually quit their 9-to-5 if it's something that they want to do. So that's what I'm running right now.
Excellent. And so what's the date?
It is March 14th through the end of that week. So I'm starting now, because I was like, with 3 kids and everything, I was like, I gotta promote it. It's going to take a while. Like you said, it's a lot of work, but I'm excited to get it out there. It's going to be amazing.
Great.
Okay. And what's the name of your Facebook group?
My Facebook group is Mama's Making Money.
Excellent.
Cool.
I think after, we can actually put add comments to this after. Again, this is my first time using StreamYard, but I think we can add comments. So make sure you drop all that info in the comment section. All right. Akosua, you're next. What can you tell us about, who you serve, anything happening in your business, and tell us where we can find you and all that.
All right. Well, my website is What's Your Story Author Services. I serve a lot of the people I work with are people who have led an interesting life and want to write about it. It tends to be life coaches, business coaches. I work with people in the financial services, because writing a book is a great part of your marketing strategy, because it really shows you visibility. It shows you've got enough to say about a program, for example, that, so that if someone's comparing you or considering your services versus another provider, they might select you just because of the visibility that a well-done book provides for you. My offer is that right now I'm creating a mastermind for memoir writers. So I'm looking for 10 to 12 people who are ready to tell their stories, to work through it together. And by doing it through a group, what you get is not only the motivation and inspiration of others doing the same thing, but you have your first readers, that community is going to help you when you're ready to launch. And so doing a book together, and I just completed a mastermind, which was very successful, because it's for people who want to do this within a year. Because not only did the previous mastermind group, only one person did not complete, and that was only because she changed what the style of her story. She at first was writing a memoir and turned it into self-help, but everyone else finished. They've launched to great success. So I think if you're ready and you want to do it as a community, just for that extra, well, just for the community, amongst other things, that you should come on and join this memoir masterclass, and we'll get your book out there in style and in a way that will propel it into the reader's hands and out into the world. So that's something I'm promoting now, and it
Excellent.
is certainly part of entrepreneurship to have something that helps you stand out in the crowd.
Yes.
Yes, a book will definitely do that. And yeah, it gives you that credibility and that that authority in your space. So I love it.
Yes.
That's
Yeah,
great.
it's a great way to showcase exactly you're to showcase both your program, all the knowledge you've gained, and we're a content society now, so it's a great way
Mhm.
to house your content and
Yes.
monetize it as well.
Yes. Okay. And Michelle, what do you got going on in your
Oh,
business? Sounds like you got a lot. Like
yeah,
yours is fascinating.
we just launched 5 weeks ago. So like I said at the beginning, we have our founding members category open for now. We're 4 off our goal of 100, and then we step to the next category, which is just a general membership and an intro price. But for me, for my group, I'm going to start getting back out there. For me, what is the most important? Like I love these virtual platforms, but in real estate, we're really a people business, and we need that in-person networking.
Yeah.
And so for me, getting back out there is really important. We have a big real estate conference coming up at the end of March at the Living Arts Center here in Mississauga. So it'll be the first one in over 2 years. So I'm pretty excited about that. I have 2 sessions there. I'm hosting the women's luncheon, and I'm also I'm moderating the panel on investing
Oh,
of
nice.
all things. And
Yeah.
then I have a couple of other conferences that I'm scheduled to be at in the next couple months. And then I'm having my first in-person networking luncheon at the Liberty Grand on May 31st. And that will be open to members and non-members to attend. And we're going to have a keynote and a panel. And then, of course, the most important part is the networking opportunity with a nice lunch. So I think it's going to be an amazing time. It's the end of May, so hopefully the weather will be really nice. It'll be starting to get really nice. It'll be in Toronto, and it'll be an opportunity for us to really network together and get back to. You just never know who you meet when you're in person. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
like on these Zooms, you're kind of sitting there and you're listening to people, but you're not really connecting with anyone, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So, and you really have to make a concerted effort. Like Judy, you're great. You're just like, you're like always out there. You're like an Uber connector. So,
no, thank you.
that's great for your personality, but not everybody's like that. So it's a talent. So.
Mhm.
So I'm really looking forward to getting in front of people again. And then I have a couple of things that I'm going to be doing overseas coming in the spring and in the summer. I want to get back overseas and getting the word out over there about Real MG and, getting more women in real estate over there involved, because they're quite a bit behind us. So having a community of support like Real will be amazing for them, because it's highly competitive, and you can sometimes as entrepreneurs feel alone at times. And why reinvent the wheel? So that's what this community is all about, is that we tap into each other, best practices, helping each other with our struggles and our challenges when we're in real estate or whatever it is, and just having a community to go to, right?
Yeah.
It makes it a lot better, right? And it motivates you. It motivates you. So that's what I've got going. Lots of different things up in the air, and let's see what happens. But yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Love it. This is exciting. Well, for me, I don't have anything major going on right now, but what's coming up is I'm going to be running the visibility challenge again.
Oh, cool.
And I did post something about doing the Facebook Grow Your Facebook Group workshop. I'm going to kind of incorporate that into the visibility challenge. Yeah, I did a lot of thinking around that. I was like, you know what? I think I'm just going to, because having a community is a part of being visible.
Yes,
Yeah.
of course.
So when I run the visibility challenge again, yeah, I'm going to incorporate that and just, teach some strategies on growing a Facebook group and all that. And then I'll have my visibility program that I have for women who want to stand out more online. Because I notice a lot of women have trouble standing out online, just getting themselves out there. And you know what, I love being out there in the community. And as you mentioned, like, connecting, I love making connections.
Yeah.
I don't know why. It's just something I'm so passionate about. Nothing makes me happier. Nothing makes me happier than to connect to people and see them collaborating and, strategizing and, growing their businesses together because I connected them. And I also love giving women a platform, specifically women. I always say women only, but I love giving women a platform just to talk and share their stories, because I think it's so important. Because there's a lot of women who are just afraid. So I like to help women feel comfortable and confident and just fearless.
Yeah.
And the reason why I'm so passionate about that is because even 5 years ago, I would never have done any of this. I wouldn't have had my TV show. I wouldn't have gone here on a Facebook Live. I always had a passion for community, but as far as like being visible in the community, it's like, oh my God, no. But now it's just like, I see the value in it. So it's just motivating for me just to do more of it. So I'm always looking for new ways to connect people. And for me, community is everything.
Yeah.
In one of my posts, I said that it takes a community to raise a business, and we're all in it together. So let's be great together, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. All right. I don't know if there's any last words, any words of wisdom that you want to throw in before we end this broadcast. I'm so grateful to our viewers. I've just been watching the comments here. I think for people to actually leave comments, they have to give permission to StreamYard. So I'll figure it out. But we've had quite a few people watching.
Okay.
Yeah. So any last few words of wisdom that you want to impart?
Certainly. Well, this has been fantastic. Thank you so much for the invitation, Judy. And I just think that as we're doing that here, sharing your voice is the best way to communicate and to help others who are probably thinking the same. But but just having others in front of them sometimes is the spark that allows them to share their own voices.
Yes.
And that everyone's matters. Everyone has a different way of saying things, and that the way you present something might be just might save a life, for instance. I mean, as serious as that, that because we all see it, that sometimes someone says it in one way and it doesn't hit, and then someone says it in the exact way you need to hear it. So
exactly.
So that's it's so important to have venues like this, to have an ability for where we can share information that helps others. And it just and also invigorates the soul, because it's so nice to be able to share the wisdom we've gained over years. So thank you so much. And go, if you're out there thinking of being an entrepreneur, there are pitfalls, but it is a sure way of increasing your wealth, just because you've got more power. That you've got the ability to scale in ways that you can't scale, obviously, in your corporate job. So that's what I'd like.
Nice.
Well, I like the you may save a life, or you might ignite a spark that's been burnt out. So I think that it's great, these types of calls. And thanks so much for inviting me.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Great to be here, and I'm sure that we will. I'm always watching you, Judith. So
thank you.
So we'll be in touch, and absolutely, if I ever think about writing a book, I will definitely reach out. But it's been great to be here. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
you're welcome.
I want to say thank you for having me. I really enjoyed today. My one little piece of advice is, if you have a question, ask it. Don't be afraid to ask for help, because I know a lot of us get inside our heads and think like we have stupid questions or something like that. But if I didn't ask questions, I wouldn't be where I was at today.
Exactly.
So if you have something, don't be afraid to ask. Like you said, you're building community here. So just come, speak up, ask your questions, get them answered. No one's going to bite your head off or anything like that. So yeah, just thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
And thank you for being here. And you know what? I love that. And this community, I feel that it's a really safe community. Like I love the interaction, the engagement and everything. Everyone feels safe to share and ask questions. And you know, that's the core of who I am as well. So I'm glad to see that it's, you know, it's coming out in this community that that I've created, because I would not tolerate anyone being, you know, mean or ignorant towards others, you know, or criticizing or judgmental. I have no tolerance for that. So this is a safe community. So yes, definitely, you know, feel free and safe to ask your questions and be vulnerable, because we're here to support each other.
That's right.
Okay. Well, I'm going to end this broadcast. Thanks to everyone who's watching. Looks like we have quite a few people on right now. So thank you to our viewers for watching. And we'll see you at the next Lady Boss Talks Live.
Awesome.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.